Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no bounds are found. Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And tonight is Wonder Wiz Day Meta Live Show tonight, baby. So get ready. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be, we actually have a great guest lined up here. Nevermore, Aries. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So stoked about this conversation. We've been following your content on TikTok for a while now. I don't even know when it started, but every time I see one of your videos pop up, I'm glued. I need to see all of it because I just love learning all about, the witchcraft and magic. And I think that it's, dude, I hate that it has such a stink to it because I think that it's natural to everybody. And even the people that don't know that they're doing it, they're still doing it, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Even accidentally, dude. That's something we just learned, and it actually just makes sense. If you're not pointing your mind or your magic or your energy in the way that you actually would prefer, and you're accidentally putting it on some bullshit, then of course that's what you're going to manifest. Yeah. You're losing your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you tell us maybe a little bit about you, how you got into this? Has this been something that you've been kind of practicing your whole life, or did you pick up on it later?
Well, I am actually, I'm lucky I didn't have to do any deconstructing from Christianity. I was raised in a house with an excommunicated Catholic father and a mother who was raised both Presbyterian and Catholic, and she hated it. So there was no religion in my house whatsoever, nothing. And I was just really lucky that my parents let me explore things. And then, before the age of 13, we had some weird witchy books in the house that I would always read. And so I kind of got interested that way. But around age 13 is when I really got into practicing. And when I got my first witchy book, and that was 30 years ago. So
wow, at age 13, that's a pretty interesting number there to start there.
You know what it is? It's and I've talked about this on my channel before. Like it was when the movie The Craft came out that people really bought in to it, And even though I'd been kind of dabbling in things before that, because my grandmother was a tarot card reader, and so I had kind of a beliefs around it. But then, was it 97 The Craft came out? Oh my gosh. Everybody me and my 3 friends went to the witchy store. We all got the witchy book. We all got these necklaces. And 30 years later, I'm still the only one practicing. They're all, doing their own things now. But so many people in that time became witches, or it became Wiccan because of that movie. So
oh yeah, that seems to be just about right too, because especially for Sean and I, both of us, we didn't have to, as you were saying, neither one of us had to really go through that whole deconstruction at all. And it's not like my parents were into any religion, really. It was just we never really talked about it. I think we went to church twice my entire childhood, right. And that's only because their friends invited us. And both times we went, it was like, it was cool. We get to hang out with the other kids, and it wasn't too preachy or anything. But yeah, that is such a valuable, important thing to not have to tear everything down. You know what I mean? I feel like that's almost.
Were you curious? Like, even though you weren't raised with religion, did you try and understand Christianity at all?
Not really. Not until I was in like my mid-20s. I tried to, see what the whole thing was about. And I went to church for like a year just to try and see what the whole deal was, right? And so I'm going to church this entire year, and I'm like, all right, everybody's saying that this is the truth. I need to figure it out for myself. I've always kind of, I don't know, maybe it's stubbornness or whatever, but I don't believe anybody else's word. I got to experience it for myself, you know? And so I went to go experience it for myself and I was like, oh my God, this stuff actually works. It's crazy, right? And I was like, holy shit. And most people, I feel like in that situation would just be like, well, you know, I found it and this is what I'm just going to stick with. In my mind, I was like, all right, I see that this works. I need to see if everything else works now. Because if they're saying that this is the only thing that works, it's the only true way, right? I got to find out what else is real, what else is fake. And yeah, I never turned back because I found out it's all real. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So-
When you find out that you're the battery that charges everything, you know, it's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing in that way. But just to get over the chat, Super Marky said, "What up, everyone?" Super Marky, good to see you, bud. The White Boy Wizard said, "Good evening, you lovely fuckers."
What's
evening.
up, dude? Good to see you, man.
Taylor said, "What's up? Happy Wednesday." Super Marky said, "So lucky. I was at church twice every Sunday, 5 years old to about 15 years old." A little deconstruction going on there. Hated it, he said. Taylor said, "I tried Catholicism as a freshman in high school and lasted maybe 2 years." Dude, I went to one Catholic mass one time and I was like, this is the most cult shit I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Right? Like, have you ever been to a Catholic mass, Tammy?
I have the fun actually. So my family, my in-laws, my husband, they're all from Dublin, like immigrated to Canada from Dublin, and so they're very like Roman Catholic Irish. And when we got married, they said they would pay for our wedding if we got married in the Catholic Church, and I was like, sure, why not? And it was so much more intense than I expected. Like we had to go meet with the priest, Father Tobin, and I had to sign a contract promising that we would raise our children Catholic. And I'm just like, yeah, okay.
That's
And
kind of
then
weird.
Yeah.
They
Contract.
yeah, they sent us to like an away weekend retreat where we had to stay in like what was like a monastery kind of thing in these like weird little rooms that like a monk or something would stay in. And we had to go through all this like training and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, my God, I don't think a wedding is worth all of this. But they ended up paying for the whole wedding and everything was fine. And my children aren't Catholic. So I'm so sorry, Father Tobin. But
Tore up the
That's
contract.
wild.
yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, I've had a lot of experience in the Catholic Church in my adult life.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't even know that they went through all of that, which, it is kind of interesting. I guess if like that room you were speaking of, like what was that all about? You had to just spend a lot of time, just you and your husband in
They
a
were
quiet room, or
So it was like a big church, but it had like a cloistered off area where like the priests would sleep. So they're very tiny, like prison cell size rooms. And all that's in it is the smallest bed you've ever seen and a little kneeling bench with like a cross. And of course they separate the men and the women. I was like, I hated that. I hated being in that place at night. So I would like sneak off into my husband's room and go stay in there with him. And oh my goodness. Yeah, but no, and then they would
Oh, it's interesting.
yeah, you would have to, I mean, they would do like prayer, and then they had these like really old people come in and talk to us about contraception, like the Catholic contraception, which is
Wow.
weird. But the thing is that it was okay.
Isn't it abstinence?
No, I forget the name of the method, but it's literally like counting the cycles, and then like there's certain days, and it's a whole like religious contraceptive system that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. I mean,
Wow.
it
Natural
doesn't
family
work.
planning.
But I mean, it was
Yeah.
interesting to me because I like understanding the religion that's dominating our world. And, I've always been fascinated with Christianity. And I think that's why my page is so popular because I think I get a lot of deconstructing Christians coming to me because I have read the Bible numerous times. I studied it in college. I'm very well versed on, that and multiple religions. And so
Which is
getting an
something,
inside look was good.
right? Which is something that I found very interesting because, and you've made mention of it here a couple times recently, is that there's these ex-witches that are converting to Christianity, and you can almost see the writing on the wall as it's happening that they're going to come back and shit all over witchcraft and magic and say that it's all Satan filled. It's like, you weren't
Yeah.
really a real witch then, because that's not what it is.
Exactly. And I've yet to see an ex-witch who wasn't practicing appropriated practices and religions. I have not seen one. And I search, I have an alt account, I search and search and search. I can't find anything or anybody that wasn't doing Reiki or, you know, burning white sage or all the things that aren't part of our culture that they take, and then they're like, oh, I don't understand, it didn't work for me. Well, they're not your ancestors or spirits you're talking to, so of course you're not hearing them. So,
Right.
and then they leave, they go to God, and God doesn't want them either. So
So you mentioned that you do traditional witchcraft, though. What, we've been kind of diving into chaos magic and practical magic. What's the difference between that and traditional magic?
well, traditional magic, I mean, at its today, it's a reconstructionist movement, right? It's kind of the post Wicca era, because many of us traditional witches came from the Wicca path, and we didn't like that path; it wasn't working for us. So we're trying to get back to our roots, and it's very land based and ancestral based, and choosing one path or lineage or ancestor to connect with, learning the mythologies, learning the languages. So it's very rooted in where you come from and who you are. And when I say land based, like I'm not. I saw someone say he's outsidey, not outdoorsy, right? Like you go on a walk like in the park, but you don't want to go on a hike in the forest. I'm outsidey. I don't like, I'm not out there collecting herbs all the time and stuff, but it's still, connecting with the land. So
Okay. You know what? We actually recently had on this he's a black magician. His name's EA Coetting. And
I
fucking
watched that one.
stud of a guy. Love that guy. And he's, I saw that he was into black magic and all this other stuff, but he was also into like Norse paganism, and I noticed that because he had like the Mjolnir hanging from his neck, right? And I was like, oh, so you're into that too, it almost seems a bit eclectic. And what are your thoughts on eclecticism and just people that are kind of molding a bunch of different things together and making it their own? Are you for that or against that?
I am for that. I think that I'm really open to people doing what feels right for them. And somebody like that who's more into like the hermetic principles and the um kind of the mentalism of the practice. And I also like that really fits, that works well with Norse paganism. Norse paganism is a very like kind of male dominated, it just fits well. But yeah, as long as people aren't taking from practices that are closed, or from endangered, plants and things like that, as long as they're not harming anybody or stepping on anybody, that's the beauty of witchcraft as a umbrella term, is that it's what you make it.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. So you're not for the left-hand path then.
oh no, I am. Yeah, no, I love, honestly, I'm on both sides of the path. I'm not so much on the ceremonial ritualistic side of it. Um, but the left-hand path doesn't necessarily have to be that, right? If you're, working with certain spirits, and yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And multiple of our guests are, they include both of them. Some people say that there is no left hand or right hand path. There is no light and dark. It's all the same thing that you're pulling from anyway. What are your thoughts
I
on that?
agree. I agree with that. Like I think I actually wrote something today, and I had spoken about it in a TikTok. I call it living in the gray. So there's no black, there's no white. We are living in the gray. And the gray, the Christians will tell you, like, oh, we live in the light, come to the light, and you're dark. Well, guess what? The light will blind you. Okay. The light will burn all the plants if there was only the sun. The light casts the biggest shadow, right?
Hmm.
And if you're telling us that we're the dark, you're viewing us that way. You are shadowing us that way. Um, So everything has to have balance, right? If there's no balance, and I think that when we try to separate right hand and left hand, we're tipping the scales one way or the other. We're excluding people. We're saying, this isn't, once we start developing a system of this is right, this is wrong, and, then we have a dogma. And then we're like, we're Christians if we're too rigid. And I don't, no, I think that it's living in the gray. You have to be a practitioner of witchcraft, you have to be okay living in the gray, and that's being okay with knowing that your beliefs are yours alone and not everybody agrees with you.
Right.
That's perfect. That's something that we see a lot, because we talk about these types of things, witchcraft and you name it, anything occult or strange, we like to talk about. And a lot of people would say like, oh, well, that's dark. That's you're playing with demons, you're doing the work of the devil or, things of that nature. And it's just, I don't know. I think in their worldview, how they like to view the world, okay, then you're right, because that's your belief, but that doesn't mean it has to be my belief. And that's something I really am coming to understand, is that people are okay to have their own belief. But when you come at me and try to tell me that I'm wrong, it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't get down with that.
Rubs
Yeah.
us the wrong way. Yeah.
I live in the southern US, so I'm just surrounded by evangelical Christians. So.
I imagine you get a
Same.
lot of criticism.
Well, okay, yeah. Just recently, actually, one of the moms in the neighborhood told their kid that he can't hang out with my kid because we practice witchcraft.
Wow.
Meanwhile, she's been to my house. She's been in my house. You cannot walk through my house and not know something. Suddenly, a year later, it's a problem.
Right.
But honestly, for the most part, majority of people are accepting of it, to be honest. And guess what? Guess who they call when they need something, or when they want a tarot card read, or something. Oh, do you know a spell to do? They'll call me for it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, like fine.
That reminds me of optimistic banks. Some people think I'm crazy, others call me for advice. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Dude, and it's perfect because even Pete just said, do no harm, take no shit.
Right.
It's right there, dude. Right there in the middle. And it's always like one of my favorite quotes just because I'm a wrestling dork. But Vince McMahon always used to say, he would say, I'm not going to sit around and act like I'm better than anybody else, but I'll be damned if somebody acts like they're better than me.
That's
Exactly.
I just love that. White Boy Wizard said, I'm surrounded by Mormons. I'd rather have witches.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there's a
great.
lot less. I mean, I'm sure that there's still a little bit of dogma within the witchcraft. You'll have people that are purely of the ancestral, to where, if you don't have any blood lineage from this plot of land, then don't you dare do this kind of spell or this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's fine if you want to believe that, but I don't know if that's right to just be pushing on everybody. Now you're more religious based,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not right to do that. And that's where, like, if you're a practitioner coming into witchcraft, you have to know that you are going to come up against that. If you are for part of the Irish diaspora, the people in Ireland are spiky about it. They don't claim you, and they say like you haven't grown up here, you haven't lived here, you're not Irish. But the Irish Americans will say, yes, we are. My grandmother was Irish. It's a sticky subject, but I
Yeah.
think the balance is in like descendants accepting that they're the diaspora. You're not Irish. You're Irish, you're American, but you're Irish descended, and you can draw roots from that still, So
Yeah, I mean, hey, even the Jews aren't from Israel. Let's just get weird.
Let's just get weird.
But I just have to throw it out there. Sorry about that.
Did you see my post the other day about how witchcraft, the guy saying witchcraft isn't political? He was saying witchcraft's not political, and I get so heated with that because I feel like it is. It's very political, and he's like, "You can't talk politics on my page," and I'm like, "Well, then you're just a deconstructing Christian who hasn't deconstructed yet," and that's what he is.
Yeah, I mean, to say that any spirituality is for or against politics, it's like these are two separate dichotomies. It's not like, oh, I'm a witch now, so that means I can't watch Fox News anymore. It's like,
Right.
who's
saying
check
that?
out. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that people just come up with their own damn rules. And here's the thing. They're only putting limitations on their own self at that point, right?
Yeah. There's,
Um,
I think there's a difference between rules and truths in
Mm,
witchcraft. Because there are some truths that can't be denied, and they're very, uniform across practices. But as far as rules, we need to just cut it with the rules.
yeah, yeah, just anarchy, dude, all day.
the
So
truth is what we're after. That's the whole point of this whole thing.
I actually, it's when you said you guys were conspiracy guys, and I grabbed my grandfather's Masonic Bible because I was like, oh, they'll probably like the Freemasons Bible.
oh yeah.
I use that in my practice sometimes. This is what got me blown up on TikTok, this Bible. And
Okay.
I got hexes thrown at me, and oh my goodness, it became a whole big thing. And I'm all over conspiracy and scrim, not because I posted there, because people take my videos with this, and I'm all over it. So
So, all right, is there any like major differences from the Masonic Bible compared to all the other Bibles?
no, there's photos, and then in the beginning, there's the it talks about Freemasonry in the Bible, but other than that, it's the same Bible. And I've read it online before to show people. People are always asking to buy it off me or give them a copy, but it's copywritten. The Bible is copywritten. The Word
Of
of
course,
God
of
is
course.
copywritten, so I
Yeah,
can't share it.
That's
of course.
crazy.
That seems a little contradicting, I think. Don't share the word, but
Oh, dude.
also make sure to share the word.
It's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy what is okay and what gets taken off of TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. There was, fuck it, I'll just say it. It was like before this show was ever created. The Cult of Conspiracy is my first podcast that I ever did. I still do it, and we got kicked off of YouTube. We got like our final strike because we did a show on Hillary Clinton drinking adrenochrome and frazzle drip wearing little kids' faces or whatever, right? And just to get wild. And you know what? We ended up getting kicked off of YouTube because they said that we were bullying. And I said, bullying Hillary Clinton? Like, who cares? It's a politician. Like, they're the bullies, really.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, conspiracy theories are fun, like they're fun to explore. We don't have to believe them all.
Sure.
But they're fun to explore. And your podcasts are no different than the Discovery Channel or the History Channel and Ancient Aliens. It's like
Yeah.
you go into the strange, and it's interesting there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fun.
I mean, just to have your mind splintered just by postulating the possibility that any of these things would be correct. I don't know. Honestly, that's kind of what really got me super interested in the occult and magic and witchcraft, because I was like, man, this world is just not what we think it is. Let me try
Right.
and find out what it is then, you know?
Did you figure it out yet?
We're
No.
we're a lot closer than we were 2 years ago, for sure.
Just
Okay.
a little bit. Nick, you had your hand raised, dude. Do you have anything to add?
I was just going to say on the copywriting, the only way that they're allowed to do that is to change it. Is ironically enough.
Oh,
So you-
really?
You have to change it, and everyone's like, "There's no changes ever," but like you can
Of course.
copyright it if you change it. So
Right.
that's the kicker.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The white boy wizard said, I would love nothing more than anarchy. Been training to be a post-apocalyptic warlord with a harem of baddies. I love it. All lizards should be bullied. I agree. So, and I don't want to turn this into a conspiracy episode because we wanted to bring you on to talk about the
Right.
craft. But for anybody that is just like getting started, I'm sure you get this question all the time, but like, what is a good starting point into, just, I don't even want to say just witchcraft, but, spirituality, magic, witchcraft, what was kind of like your introduction? Was it like tarot cards?
Yeah, it was tarot cards, but the actual real introduction into witchcraft, I mean, back in the 90s, again, we didn't have the internet. We had some, you could go to the head shop where they would sell the bongs and find stuff there. Some of the weird new age spiritual bookstores would have things. And my first book was the Raymond Buckland's, I think it's the Guide to Witchcraft. It's the big blue book is what the witches call it. And that thing is wild. Like there's like nude initiations and blood magic. And I mean, I went in, I don't recommend starting that way. Not that I was doing any of that 13. I'm just, but I would.
Jonathan was getting a little excited about that, I think.
I, But it's not a good start. It's a bit much. But I think the best way, people get really worried about making mistakes and doing things wrong. And if we're not doing things wrong, we're not learning anything. We wouldn't know all we know about witchcraft today if it hadn't been for was it Margaret Murray, the witch cult theory that was disproven, and then Gerald Gardner kind of there were some things that he brought forward that we don't believe in or do today. Without that, there's no conversation. So when you're beginning into witchcraft, I think the best thing you can do is read or listen to podcasts or um, you have to get information somewhere. You can find a mentor. That's a little difficult. You can look online, like on TikTok, but don't believe everything you see. I'm a book girl. Like I know you can tell from my channel. Like I'm a full-on academic witch. Give me the books, but I know that not everybody is that way, and I try to be really mindful of people that don't want to read books. So it's first I would suggest finding what interests you, what country interests you, what ancestor interests you, what mythology interests you. Is it Greek mythology? Is it Roman? Is it Celtic? Find that first. And then read the mythologies. You don't have to believe those gods were real. The Bible is also just mythology. So, you don't have to believe that these gods were real, but learn about it. Learn about where you come from because mythology is the identity of a culture. It is the root and identity of a culture. So start there. You can start practicing magic. You can start with like smaller, safer spells. Do not do love spells. Be very careful with money spells. Um, Maybe do a little invisibility spell or something less with less consequences.
I
But
see.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell people how to get on the path because I feel like so people come to witchcraft either because they choose it, they're cracked into it, or um, the path just opens for them. They have to stop lying to themselves and come honestly, and then they get here.
No, I agree, and I feel like we kind of stumbled across it just because it was more of a fascination thing than anything else. It was just like, and the funny backstory about that is that whenever my mom and Sean's mom were younger, they have this story about how they used to always like play on the Ouija board, and and then it's funny because like me and Sean, we grow up and this is what we do now, so it's I don't know. And my mom was always like super interested in witchy stuff, and Halloween was always the biggest, event of the year and just always going all out with it. And so I was kind of always drawn to it in a way. And then, learning about like magic being real and witchcraft actually being real. And what really pulled me, I don't want to say away from it, but just kind of like the opposite side was I would think that like I would watch, stupid magic shows or movies.
Supernatural
Yeah, and,
charms.
and Harry Potter and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that's how magic works. And you would think about trying to do something like that yourself. You go outside and grab a stick and use it as a wand, and why isn't a lightning bolt coming out of it?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the way that we understand it now, it's that those things aren't necessarily going to happen visually. And I feel like a lot of people, they need to see something in order to believe it, and maybe they don't have the patience or the time or anything like that. Maybe they don't know that you have to be kind of like intuitive about it as well, and practice meditation and stuff like that. Is that something that you do often at all, is meditate?
No, I'm an ADHD witch, so I do not meditate. I've tried, believe me. I don't meditate. What I found is that I meditate when I am studying, and that is when I'm quiet and my mind is focused and things come to me, when I'm reading or writing and
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm not
Really,
reading.
that's still meditation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you're
Mhm.
not closing your eyes and listening to something, or, sitting crisscross applesauce, that is still your meditation. And if you're ADHD, you're probably already tapped in anyways all the time. And so it's
Mhm.
probably not even an issue for you. I feel like that's what Jonathan has. I feel like he's always kind of tapped into something. He's always got an idea. Something's
Yes.
always coming up. And it's like, dude,
Sometimes to
I-
my detriment, actually.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, the other day I called it a curse because I forget what I had done a video about, and a person, oh, it was talking about the spirit of plants, and she goes, your knowledge just blows my mind. And I said, it's a curse. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't stop learning. I can't. I get a thought, I got to know the answer. And it's been that way since I was a kid, which is why I've studied the Bible so much, because I was looking for answers, truth, anything, and all I found was lies in there.
Mhm.
And it's a curse, but it's a blessing, but a curse. And honestly, the medication just helps me focus in on one thing instead of 10. So we're,
Right.
we're on the right track.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that, you being very well versed within the Bible and stuff like that. I've heard people say that you can almost use the Bible as a sort of grimoire. And you
Oh,
can
yeah.
use angels from the Bible, demons from the Bible, certain spells even from the Bible. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, the practices of voodoo and hoodoo, and it's called powwow. It's like an old Germanic folk magic, and any Appalachian folk magic. They all use the Bible, Creole. Yeah, they all use the Psalms. The Psalms are where the spells are. And, like certain folk magic spells would be like pray over the sick person with this, lump of coal, say this prayer, Lord's Prayer 3 times backwards. And that's the spell. But yeah, no, the Bible is full of spells, full of them. And then you can call on the archangels. And I don't care to do it, but you absolutely can.
Interesting. And you know what's funny is that you'll probably have somebody that is, maybe using the Bible that is, hoodoo or voodoo or some other kind of sect of spirituality. And, you'll get people, from Christianity that'll say, well, like, yo, if you're using Psalms and the way that you're using it, then the power that you're drawing upon is the dark side. And I'm just like, you just can't win. You know what I
Nope.
mean? It's like we had a guy on, and very Christian guy into metaphysics, but still, very Christian centric, very nice guy. And I told him about this time that I tripped really hard on mushrooms, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, but basically I tripped really hard on mushrooms and I fucking heard the Elohim, like with the blaring horns and stuff. And I was like, I never even heard of the Elohim up until this point. And I felt like I was just receiving downloads and I was asking questions and I was getting answers like immediately. Right. And it was like a literal hearing, you know what I'm saying? Like it was very distinct. And I asked him what he thought about that. And he goes, well, you're not a Christian, so it's probably demons. I'm like, what?
Even when it's the Elohim. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that is just
Of course.
unfortunate,
The first time I know exactly what you're talking about, the first time I heard a voice like that was actually the night before my mom passed away. My husband and I were living in Mexico because he was working there, and the room was dark. I was just about to go to sleep, and I felt like a breath at my ear, and the voice sounded like a little girl, and she said, "You don't have a mom anymore." And it was
Mm.
sad. Like it wasn't in an evil way. It was just like, I'm grieving with you kind of voice.
Mhm.
And I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. But I
Oh,
shot up in the bed and I was like, oh my God, I'm telling my husband. Next morning, I'm calling like everybody I know. Couldn't get a hold of my mom. She ended up having a heart attack that day.
what?
Yeah, so it was so crazy because I'll never forget it. And I just know it was a messenger just warning me, that this is happening.
Wow. I mean, where do you think that came from? Do you ever like think about what that person's name was or anything like that?
I think it was an angel. I think it was a type of angel or maybe a spirit guide or something. But I think that it came because being in Mexico was very difficult when that happened. That was maybe I could have become very unhinged if I hadn't had that warning. But when I got the call that afternoon, I just knew. Um,
Wow.
Mm.
so yeah, I kind of kept it together after that. But it was the craziest thing, and it was outside of my head. It wasn't in my head either.
Oh my God. You know, that's crazy too, is that, you know, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like a version of awareness or something like that. But even if you're not, you know, receiving some kind of channeled or downloaded message, just in passing, you know, you go walk through Walmart or you walk through CVS or you're walking down the road or something like that. Maybe you're taking a walk in the forest with other people and you're only passing them for maybe about 10 seconds, right? At most. And you just so happen to catch a portion of the sentence at that very moment. That is what trips me out every time. It's like anytime I'm like, if I'm not, you know, I don't have you know, if I'm not talking to one of my kids or I don't have, you know, my head in my phone looking for certain things or whatever, and I'm just kind of observing and listening and just going about my day, I'll hear it. And I'm like, what a strange coincidence that was. But, you know, we don't believe in coincidences over here.
Yeah, I had a really just unbelievable experience exactly like that. I think we had an episode the night before. We were talking to a psychic, and she was explaining that, you know, how to get a hold of your guides, and you really just gotta, you know, put yourself out there and start asking questions and start trying to work with them in that way. And so I went ahead and tried that, and all of a sudden there was like this flash of white light, like real quick. It was almost like a tiny explosion as soon as I asked about a certain thing, and I was just like, wow, like it was one of those moments where I felt like there was really something happening. There was definitely some type of connection to whatever that is. Call it your higher self, call it your guides, call it, I don't really know, but I just knew that there was absolutely some truth to this whole magical
Yeah.
place. And I was talking to Nick, and I called him the next day, and I was talking to him about it, and we were talking about like as far as like walking around as if everything's normal still, even though you just had something that mystical happen, you know. And then I was walking around at work, and I was cleaning up outside at one point, and I was thinking to myself, like, what the fuck? What is this? You know? And then this guy walked by, like some homeless dude. You know, I think he was a schizophrenic, possibly, you know, and the only thing I heard him say was, "You know what this is." And I was like, "Oh my God." Just
Mm,
continuing to blow my mind.
yeah.
You know, that kind of shit right there, I just can't explain.
Love it.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you were a Christian, you would attribute that to either a demon or Jesus. So it could be either or, depending on your mindset at the time. Outside of the house of Christianity, you see how big it really is and
Yeah.
how powerful it really is. And then
Mhm,
suddenly things start opening up to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, you know? And
mhm.
I get a lot of new practitioners come to me talking about imposter syndrome and how they feel like silly trying to worship a different god or talk to a spirit. And that's the way you feel at first. You feel
Mhm.
silly. It feels like you're playing pretend, you know, like you're trying to be in supernatural or charmed or whatever.
Fake it till you
Keep
make it.
doing it. Yes, yes. Keep doing it because eventually it will click. And when it clicks, oh my gosh, it just everything becomes so much easier.
No
Mhm.
doubt. Nicholas, what are your thoughts, sir?
I've been trying to figure out when and how I would be able to tell you all this story that just happened to me.
Let's go.
It's like the crazy synchronicity thing. I was this weekend at this like Trader Day show with my mom, and we were walking, and my mom and my wife, and we were walking through these like they just have booths and stuff everywhere, and there's this guy that walks by, and my mom pointed him out, and it's this old dude dressed in all red, white beard, all red with pulling a red wagon with candy canes, and he looked like Santa Claus. And I'm like, this dude, and he's just like so out of place. I was like, this is like a quest character of the you know NPC or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm like that guy is like a side quest character for sure. And I'm immediately thinking, I said, he's a side quest character. It reminds me of Hippie Jimmy from fucking Florida with
Shout
your
out
whole
Hippie
deal.
Jimmy.
And as I said that in my head, I'm listening to a podcast with Aaron Abkey, and he uses the example. I said, this guy's a side quest character. And then in my headphones, I was listening, he says, like a cosmic Santa Claus. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
I literally out loud was like, what the fuck? And my mom and my wife turned around and they're like, what? And I'm like, holy shit, this is insane. Like,
What is this place?
yeah, I was like, what the hell? And normally it's like numbers, and you know, I get the craziest number synchronicities and everything, but that one was just like, holy shit.
Just to let you know, like,
Yeah,
hey,
a little extra something
this is
today.
yeah, this is still happening.
Yeah.
You know, and
When
you know
those
what it
things
is.
happen, when those things happen, are you doing something, like, are you using that as like a guide or like a beacon to something? Because that's usually what those are.
Oh, they're they happen so often for me. I expect them to happen all the time, and from what I have been told, at least from my guides anyway, that those are just confirmation of direction.
Yes.
And at this point, there it's so much so often it's become a game between us essentially, and like it's like what can they orchestrate that I will be the most shocked by, and I'm like, ah, y'all are hilarious.
They
Like,
they really they really did it to you on that one.
no, that one was like, I'm like, okay, I literally was like, bravo.
I love that, dude. So speaking of guides and, maybe deities or gods, is there anybody that you like to work with, specifically, or do you work with a couple of them? I always see like a bunch of people talking about Hecate or the Morrigan and, characters like that. Do you have a specific flavor that you like more?
Well, I do follow a very Celtic leaning path, a more Irish pantheon. But in with the ancient druids, for example, they wouldn't, or even there's the curse tablets, the ancient curse tablets. You would find on them that people didn't necessarily curse or bless with one god. You would use the god for the purpose at the time. So I do venerate specific gods, but I'm not opposed to going outside of the pantheon if I need help from somebody. And I've told my followers, like, if you're going to do that, you have to leave an offering for these deities. You have to pay. You can't just go asking Loki for something and not pay anything in return, you know?
Interesting. Can you get into offerings a little bit? I know that certain deities and whatnot, they some might like whiskey or a cigar or something along those lines. Like, how do you figure out like which they prefer as an offering?
Well, I mean, most of the time it's you can Google and you can look up the mythology of a certain god and what experts say. Even like you can go on JSTOR and you can get a free account and go read academic journals and articles on the gods there. But there's always somebody to ask, especially our whole world is open to us now. You can find an expert on any deity and ask them. But really, money is good. Wine, whiskey, bread, milk, jewelry, silver, gold. Those you can almost never go wrong with any of those. Like I did a working with a voodoo priestess one time. I was not doing the working, but I was participating or included in it. And at the end of the working, we had to pay the spirits like cash. And it had to go on the altar, and then it required like continuing devotion to these spirits for a certain amount of time. And I that was my first experience doing any type of voodoo ritual. It was incredibly powerful and insane. But yeah, so they have to be paid, or else they will take back what they give you.
So as far as the offerings though, and I guess in that kind of situation, you would just leave it in at the altar bowl or something like that. But if you're just doing it at home and somebody requires money, I mean, how long do you got to keep it in the bowl? What if you need a gallon of milk or something like that? Like, are you going to get cursed if you decide to take it out, or does it have to stay in there forever? How does that work?
Well, if you make a contract when you do the working, like you say I'll leave this on the altar for 30 days or 6 months or a year, however long you need their help. And then when you're taking it, you thank them and you ask for confirmation that it's okay to take it. You can do like tarot reading or pendulum or whatever works for you. And yeah, then you can take it. And if it's a disposable item like a food item, you could dispose of it. But you cannot consume it if you have left it there. So if I have left money, I would donate it as opposed to going and spending it. That's
Interesting.
just the way I would handle
Just
that.
so it's not going directly back to you. That
Mhm.
makes sense. And when you make an offering to said deity or a god, and when you're done, do you feel as though it's definitely going to work, or is your sense of belief within that uh, spell, Does that go up, or do you feel any different as opposed to you just doing something specifically from yourself, if that makes sense?
Well, I always have faith that I've done this for 30 years, so I have a lot of faith and I know, what works and what doesn't for
Mhm.
me. But part of the witch's pyramid, the third law is to move in silence and not speak about it anymore, not say anything about it. And I also don't think about it. So I do working, I let it go, and then I've developed this system of using keywords for to let me know if something's working or not. So if I'm looking for something or something to be revealed, I'll say, I'm implanting this keyword. What was the word everyone in my comments was talking? Chartreuse. Everyone's obsessed with chartreuse in my comments for some reason. The keyword chartreuse. So you want a word that's known but not you don't hear every day, right? Like
Okay.
magenta. Um,
Okay.
so you would implant that keyword in the spell and then just go about your life. And then you would know when you hear magenta or chartreuse that the gods are working, the spell is working, the spirits are working. Um,
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
yeah, and it's worked for I had a friend wanted to do a love spell and I said no because I don't do that for people. But I said let's do a keyword spell where you can find your person because she was just going on all kinds of Tinder dates. And so we picked the word magenta and she did this ritual. We put the word in there. And then 6 months later, she's on a date with a guy and he asked her if her nails were magenta, but they were like baby pink. They were not even close to magenta. Like magenta was like a bright pink. And she called me, she's like, he said magenta and they're
Oh,
baby
that's a
pink.
trip.
And like now, 2 years later, they're expecting a baby. So
What?
Wow.
you can use it as like a beacon, a clue.
That's
Oh my
interesting. It's
God.
so funny because other magicians that we've had on, they would say the same thing as far as love spells are concerned. They're like, just don't do it. And it's like, it's interesting because, some of these people have done like baneful magic and, some of the more darker quote unquote stuff. And yet the love spell is like, whoa, don't
Mhm.
even try it. That's too dangerous. You know?
Is that
It
just
is.
because that's like, interfering with someone's free will?
No,
What is the
no,
reason
no.
behind that?
No, I'm all for interfering with people's free will.
Go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Um, no, it's because, oh gosh, we are all, when it comes to love, we are all blinded. And you could have somebody come to you and ask you to do a spell. They can give you their side of it, but you don't know what's true or not. Maybe that person they're trying to get back is violent. Maybe it can just rot.
Just
You
messy.
know, it can get messy, it can rot, and in order for a love spell to work, there has to be a real foundation of love there in the first place.
Right.
Um, so like the percentage of that being real is very low, you know, and then you can't do it for yourself because again, you're always blinded in your own situations, especially in matters of the heart.
Facts.
So, like we did lose a sister on Witch Talk recently to domestic violence. And it started the conversation because people said, like I warned her or she knew. She did know, like she knew. And it ended badly and it's very sad and love magic is just not good.
So she did love magic to get in that situation?
No, she didn't do love magic, but she knew that it wasn't healthy, but was blinded by it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
her daughter was there as well, survived. She saved her daughter. Um, yeah, so it was a
Oh.
bad situation, but her daughter's alive, and people today say, oh, well, her magic didn't work because she still died, but her magic absolutely worked because her daughter's alive and she.
Mm.
Oh, that's the important part.
Yeah. Yeah. But as far as we're blinded by love. No witch is not blinded by love.
Oh, dude. And yeah, the heart fools you like crazy. Pete said, I felt silly when I first put up my altar for my ancestors, gods, and personal altar. I did shrooms this Sunday, was candle gazing, and I could feel and see myself surrounded by my spirit team.
Yeah,
That's
I love that. That's
awesome.
amazing.
Dude,
That is
I can't
sick.
imagine. Actually, we're doing that the next time. Candle
You
magic.
should. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to be moving out to Arizona. That's where Sean lives. I currently live in Texas, but I'm going to be moving out to Arizona for a short period. and we're definitely going to be doing some spells,
Absolutely.
dude. I mean, just
Absolutely.
getting
I mean, it's
ritualistic.
already a mystical type of experience. Just regular staring into the candle, the light of the candle, and that already is just awesome. You feel like you're, I don't know, it's just a whole feeling that you get, and I can only imagine what that looks like and what that feels like. You know
Is
what I
Yeah.
mean?
is there any kind of candle magic or scrying or anything that you use in your practice?
Yeah, I on my altar, and now I know a lot of witches feel a certain type of way about this, but I am okay. I have a silverback mirror that I use, and it is across from my altar. Now, people are very afraid of silverback mirrors, but I know what I'm doing with it. Um, so I use that along with candle magic, and I'm telling you with that silverback mirror, don't do it though. I'll tell you what happened after.
Okay.
But when I have that connection, it's literally like a portal in a doorway. So you can set up your candles and focus on the candle and the mirror, and your spirits come through with it.
Mm.
Now there was one time I made a huge mistake with the silverback mirror, and I took another mirror. I don't know what was going through my head, but I had a hand silver mirror, and I turned it towards the silverback mirror.
Oh my god.
So it was two mirrors facing each other. And first of all, if you look at that image, it's you 1,000 times. Okay.
Infinity,
It's
yeah.
very unsettling. Then shortly after that, apparently I had filmed a TikTok, looked on my camera, and there was a TikTok that I had filmed in my drafts. And I didn't remember doing it. Like I didn't
Oh,
remember saying anything in it or anything. And I was like, it was like a weird timeline shift or something.
yeah.
So I've never done or made that mistake ever again. No more unknown TikToks happening.
That's a
But
trip.
it was scary. I had to do like some little protections, set up my little servitors across the mirror, like protect it, don't let anything through.
So
So
what's the deal with the silverback mirror?
Well, they say, well, first of all, silverback mirrors are like older, like early 20th century, and 19th century mirrors.
okay.
And they're backed by silver, whereas today they're backed by like aluminum. But silver to a witch is an incredible conduit of power, because silver is connected to the moon. So that is lunar power in physical form. And with a silverback mirror, especially the one I have is huge. It's a huge old vanity mirror. That's a lot of power in that mirror. So they can be used as portals if they're not locked properly or covered. Um, so they're just normal mirrors are fine. Everybody's fine with normal mirrors. Nobody freak out about normal mirrors.
Interesting. What are your thoughts there, Nicholas?
Yeah, I actually had an experience with mirrors one time that I'm curious on some input on. I was doing psychedelics, so there is that caveat, but
Mm.
um, I would like to consider myself a fairly experienced psychonaut. So as far as like what I was seeing in the visual spectrum, I guess it wasn't like crazy visuals, um, just from my normal vision. But whenever I was looking, I had my computer open, the camera on the computer, which essentially functions like a mirror, right? And then an actual mirror. So the camera on the computer was pointing at a mirror, and then I was looking at a third reflection. So it
Mhm.
was like three mirrors, and on the third one, which would normally be like a perfect, a mirrored image still, but the third one, it was like you could see through the veil
Mhm.
on the third mirror. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I don't know if that's something that exists or whatever, but it was like that after two with that with that
the ma-
vision, it was like it should have been still, but it like was like a whole nother dimension through the third mirror.
the
Yeah.
matrix tends to break down after the second mirror.
That's the
Uh,
yeah. It was just like it's like we don't have enough frame rates for this with you
right.
being able to perceive it. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, that happened when I did the mirror on the mirror. It was an infinite weird, and then it becomes a black like hole, and you just can't see beyond it, and it's like the gateway tapes. I don't recommend doing that.
Too
Really?
oh
late.
yeah,
Too late.
Yeah.
Oh no, you
Yeah.
did that.
They've done that.
All of us.
Oh no.
We've had
Oh,
pretty good
God.
experiences from the Gateway tapes, though.
Really?
Yeah.
What are your experiences with it? Why are you why are you against it?
I've listened to a little bit of them. I don't recommend them for people because I mean, I'm sure you must have seen on TikTok so many people who become completely unhinged by it.
Do
Uh,
they?
oh yeah, there's one girl I ended up stitching her because she was just absolutely shaken and demons and hearing voices and all that. And the gateway tapes work if you're already rooted and grounded, right? You guys weren't raised in Christianity like this other person was. So when she starts having that connection with spirit and hearing voices and the thinning of the veil, it's all
Yep.
demonic to her.
Yep.
And she was doing the gateway tapes because she wanted money. And when you go into magic with greed, it just doesn't reward you the way you want.
Like it's
So,
all fun and games when it's fun and games.
yeah.
I see.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's, man, what a hurdle to get through, to get over that thing. And that's why we've done episodes almost deconstructing the etymology of certain words like the jinn and the demon, and like the etymological roots have nothing to do with the word demon. It has no association with any kind of evil minion at all.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes sense though. I mean, if the Christian church was trying to say that
Yeah.
everybody else was demons and all your gods are demons and all this stuff, it's like, it's a brilliant scam is really what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Like the original word that they call sorcerer or witchcraft in the Bible now, it was pharmakia, which is the word we use for pharmacists now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me you're not going from church on Sunday over to Walgreens, pick up your prescription because that's who you're going to see.
You're
That
seeing a witch.
was your pharmakia. It's a person who mixes potions.
Oh
Not a
wow.
witch.
That's interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah,
That's
that makes
cool.
sense, dude. White Boy Wizard said, I'm blaming y'all if I get a new demon. Well, hopefully it's a good demon, though.
Yeah.
No new demons, we promise. Unless you believe it. That's what I think is so interesting about the power of belief is somebody that believes in demons is generally the person that experiences them.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like your belief and your mind is so powerful. And I think we covered so much how powerful we are as humans that we are able to literally manifest anything we want. And so if somebody's really believing in demons and that they're possibly possessed, then maybe they kind of are in that sense.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's more perception, right? Because your perception shapes your reality. So, the same voice that they hear that I would relate to it differently. I hear a voice and I'm like, not right now, I'm busy. They hear a voice and they're like, oh my God, it's Satan sending his minions, like it, it's just perception. The thing is, we all have the ability to practice magic and live a magical life. We all do. And whether Christians want to believe it or not, they are living it. The problem is they're under a veil and they're under a perception that makes them afraid. And you cannot be afraid in witchcraft.
Oh, dude, whenever, your entire religion is based on fear, I'm sorry, across the board, it is, you can see where the corruption lies, because fear is a control tactic. And if you're taught to fear God, I'm like, I don't think you should be fearing God. I think that's the wrong word, personally. And people will argue with me about that until they're blue in the face. It's a respectful kind of fear, like how you used to fear your dad, whenever you were younger. I'm like, I don't think that that's necessarily correct,
Yeah, my theory is that any god that demands absolute devotion is the least deserving of it.
Agreed. Yes. Electro Nick said, what are your thoughts on ETs? Some aliens.
I do have thoughts on ETs, but I'm still like not a fully formed thought. I kind of liked the idea when they were talking about them coming out of the ocean. Only because that aligns very well with the Celtic spirituality, because they believe that the afterlife was beneath us, not above us. That's why in Ireland all the fairy mounds are in the ground. So I don't know, aliens, I kind of feel like aliens coming from the ocean makes sense to me. I don't think there's any, I don't know, maybe there's nothing above us. I'm skeptical sometimes.
Oh no, that's perfectly logical
Like, I
because
wonder if what we're looking at is real or if it's something else, and I'm not about to go up there to find out. So,
right, right. In this day and age, you don't know what's a hologram and what's not in that sense. But I tell you what, we've all had experiences with like strange orbs in the sky,
mhm.
and they don't seem to match with, what a helicopter or an airplane or a drone or a satellite or anything would do. And they seem to like just very weird activity going on up there, and
Yeah,
maybe they are spiritual in a sense, and we're just calling them aliens,
that's
because
what I
what's the
wonder.
word?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, what if the spirits and all the gods and the deities and everything, what if those are the ETs? And I think about that a lot. And then when they were talking about them coming out of the ocean, it just made a lot of sense to me for some reason. So I don't know. But that's another part of living in the gray that I was talking about. You have to be okay with not knowing that. The
Mhm.
Christians can't be okay with not knowing that. They need an explanation, their book. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get to the other side, you know?
Yeah. Do you have any like more specific animosity towards, the Christianity or the Abrahamic religions in general, strictly because of like the book of demonology that was written by King James and that kind of stuff, and how witches were hung and, drowned, and all the crazy barbaric techniques that they used to do? Like, they would put a millstone or something like that on a witch's leg and drown her. And if she came up, then she was a witch. But hey, if she didn't come back, then I guess she wasn't a witch, but she's dead.
That
It's
was our
like,
bad. That was our bad.
that's on me,
Yeah.
I'm actually I don't have any this is gonna sound crazy. I don't have any animosity towards Christianity or any religion. I have animosity I'm trying to say this in a uh so I get angry at men in history who have created these rules and chains to put people in. Um, and while we did have, men burned as witches, it was predominantly women. It was the path to witchcraft has been paved in women's blood, and that is just any of the ancient Christian writers, like Thomas Aquinas and Tactius. It's all men um, who want power. That's what makes me. It's not the religions. Christianity probably could be a good religion if used properly. And I know people who do use it properly,
for sure.
you
Yeah.
know? So I would say from the more academic witch side of me, I get angry at the history and not so much the religion.
That makes sense. Well,
Yeah.
and you just mentioned it. I wanted to ask you this. What are your thoughts on like, can a witch be a male also, or should they be going by a different title, or does it not matter? Does it not only mean woman or female?
I think, okay, first of all, if you pay attention to my channel, you'll know that I do take a very feminist approach to things. However, um, I do believe men can be witches. It's a title that has been reclaimed. No witch ever called themselves a witch. So, and as far as, I mean, even first century, there's documentation of the Druids, and the Druids were predominantly male. And there's, one account of the Druids fighting off the Romans, and running between them were the priestesses. So men have always been an incredibly integral part of our spirituality. And again, it's the balance. You need the male and the female. So if a practitioner is male, and if I let them into my life in some way, I feel like they have balance and reverence for female power, which has been so oppressed historically. If that respect is there, then absolutely, out of balance is the problem, as long as we're balanced. But we have to have male and female, and yeah.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it. I always felt kind of weird saying that I was into witchcraft and stuff like that. I'm like, I mean, not like in a like gay or anything like that, but you know what I
I know
mean? But
what you
like,
mean.
just like, am I using the wrong title for this stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I find that men who are uncomfortable with the word witch call themselves occultists, um, usually, or
Magicians.
heathens if they're, on the Norse path, or Yeah, or druid. They'll pick a male title, which is kind of more associated with men, but which is gender neutral.
We did a show on on the druids, and just uncovering what was left as far as the information about them, and people that are that are kind of into like this neo druidism, which I find very interesting. Kind of getting back to the roots of getting back with nature and working with the elementals and stuff like that. I just find it so fascinating. Like, and people that have a problem with neo anything, I'm like, hey, look, if information is
God.
lost, I'm like, I don't know why you're just connecting spiritually through a specific lens at that point.
Yeah. When you were doing the show on the druids, did you have a druid on?
No, no, that was just like our own research.
Oh, okay. Because there's all this archaeological evidence of the druids and some of the contemporary accounts, and they would say, it would take a druid 20 years to learn their craft. And I always remind that to witches when they want to be witches. I'm like, it would take a druid 20 years. But one of my most popular videos I did was about how the druids would whisper in their spells into their hands.
Yeah.
And the right hand is for the kind of authority, and the left hand is for the unseen, right? So it fits with the right hand, left hand path kind of thing. But you whisper into the hand 3 times, and you would like run your hand over the thing that was missing where you last saw it. I did that at the end of the TikTok, and it like blew up. I was like, everyone's gonna see this TikTok, and then I went like this. And it's just crazy.
That's the
I
thing.
know,
Is that,
Jonathan.
yeah,
Just be careful with that power, because one time there was a woman who always gets in front of me when I'm trying to get out of my neighborhood. And one day I was so mad, I was like, you will not get in my way again. And then I was like, after I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I should have been more specific about why she wouldn't be in my way again. Because like next thing you know, she's gonna break a leg, or
Right, exactly.
she's
Right.
healthy still. So,
well,
but
that's
she
looks out
hasn't
of her-
gotten in my way.
She looks out her window just waiting for you to pull out.
I'm the
She's
neighborhood witch.
It's
They
time.
all
It's go
know.
time. It's
Yeah.
go time.
yeah. I've seen you talking about maybe the use of like specific herbs. And that's something that we've kind of glanced over a little bit in passing over the past couple of years. But what would you suggest? Like maybe a starter that is, trying to perform a ritual or do a spell or something like that. What are like some starter herbs, if you will?
Well, I would always say like whatever's in your kitchen is enough to start with. We have to think that what were our ancestors using? That you definitely have cinnamon in your cupboard. You have salt, you have rosemary, thyme, basil, dill. Like all these things are so powerful in them, on their own. Coffee you can use to amplify a spell. Cloves. Cloves are good for baneful magic or, benevolent magic. And so it's all there in your cupboard. Now, I edited a witchcraft book by Messy Magic called An A to Z Guide to Ingredients. And that is such a straightforward guide. A to Z ingredients tells you the name, what it does, and then in the back it explains uses, and it's just so simple. It starts at home, because you're not going to have an herb from Africa in Tennessee, so you might want that for working. Go ahead and get it if you want to, but I'm telling you that the stuff in your cupboard's going to be just as good for now.
Oh,
Yeah, because ultimately, I mean, that was kind of the way of the eclectic witch. They just gathered what's around them, and so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Our
almost makes me
ancestors
wonder,
were
like,
from the land.
I got some Tony Sacheries in the cupboard right now. What would that be good for? It's a little spicy,
Yeah. You could use it to jinx or hex somebody if somebody's upset you, maybe.
Oh, watch out. Don't be pissing me off, Sean.
But like
I'm about to find out, huh?
the thing is that the theory of the plant tells you what to do with it, right? So if you've got something spicy, you can use that in a working with bite, and that's why a clove, which is a dried flower, can be both baneful and benevolent, because it is hot if you put them in your mouth, but they also numb you and heal your toothache. So like a sunflower is obviously not a baneful plant. But then you've got other things you can use, like stinging nettle, if you're trying to make somebody uncomfortable. Give them an illness, maybe some allergies.
Oh,
But
interesting. You know what? I every time, so before I was a full-time podcaster, I used to work for Uber Eats. I was like delivering food and whatnot, right? And every time I walked up on somebody's house and I saw that they had like a rosemary bush or something like that, I would be like, man, that smells so damn good. I want to plant some of that in front of my house because it kind of smells like weed, and that's one of my favorite smells.
mm.
And so, what would you use rosemary for?
Oh, okay. So there's a thing in the witch community where they say you can use rosemary as a replacement for everything. That is not true. It is not a ubiquitous, like, all around plant. But like rosemary you can use for protection, but in a positive way, right? So it'll deflect bad energies, welcome in good energies. You can use it for luck, you can use it for love. Like rosemary is, there's so much soul in rosemary, and same thing with like basil. You would use basil in like money workings, and dill you can use in money workings. Catnip would be great in money workings, especially when you're wanting high energy activities.
Oh,
Like I'm
that's
going into
cool.
sales, so catnip.
That sounds about right. I
Yeah.
actually went to go write something down just so I wouldn't forget, and then it sent, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just bring it up now. Do you have any favorite grimoires or anything that you like to dabble into with, maybe more ancient stuff or any even the of the newer style grimoires at all?
Well, I read a lot. Like I have a library. I have to start keeping spreadsheets because I have over like 215 witchcraft and academic books on my shelves, and I
Wow.
always buying doubles. It's a lot. So I don't know. Okay, honestly, the favorite one is crazy because it's Wicca, but I love the Raymond Buckland's Big Blue Book because it was my first one I ever had. And it's
Mhm.
got really good info in there. It's got bad info, lots of bad info, but really good info. It's got like the witch's alphabet, and it talks about the importance of circles in witchcraft and all these like core foundational things that I feel like is missing a lot in the teachings now. The problem is you can't just hand that to a new practitioner because it's also very dogmatic and heavy on the religious aspect of Wicca. So if
Right.
you can separate the two, it's a good book.
So is that what you would say would be the thing that you would need to discern as far as, because you said there was kind of bad information? Like for
Yeah.
someone like us that's just like wanting to open it up and like, how do we know what the bad information is? So just
You would
basically the
know, you would know, you would know.
okay,
Yeah, because it's
okay,
again, it's very you can feel the religion in
oh,
certain
okay,
and the
all right,
ceremonial religion. But
uh-huh.
like the book The Crooked Path is so good for new beginners because it encompasses bringing in everybody and finding your own way. The American Folk Magic book, I love that book. Very, very good book as well. Especially because we're in America, so we can start here,
Hmm.
Okay.
without getting lost in Europe.
Yeah, yeah. Probably a little bit easier to read at that point.
Yeah.
Speaking of dogmatic things, and we've had some people have their opinions on this, but I'm curious about what your opinion is. What do you think about the like the rule of three? Like whatever you do, it'll come back to you threefold.
No, no. No, I don't believe in that at all. No. That goes with either the Wiccan Read, or the Wiccan principles, or the law of karma, which again isn't it's not European witchcraft. Karma is not ours to claim.
Mhm.
Um, I do believe that there can be consequences for an action, but no, I don't believe in the rule of three and things coming back. What I do believe, and what has been evidence in archaeological finds, is that if the gods or your spirits believe that the working is unjustified, then there will be consequences from them. So if,
Okay,
in Irish witchcraft, if you do working on somebody that is not just, then you end up with like 3 marks on your face, which indicates the ancestors are unhappy with you.
Oh,
interesting.
wow. Well, that just dives right into the next one. So, as far as All right, we've had multiple people on the show, magicians mainly, practicing the left-hand path and black magic and stuff like that, who, are kind of big fans of sacrifice.
Mhm.
And J.S. Garrett is one that he actually does it full time. He sacrifices chickens to certain demons for anybody, and usually it's for healing for the most part. But what are your thoughts on sacrifice, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be of an animal or anything like that, but just sacrifice in general?
I think that if it's part of a practitioner's path, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's happening in a more humane way than the way we get our meat at home.
Exactly what he
Um,
says.
People have pet snakes that they feed mice to all the time. How is that different than a witch dropping a mouse into a jar of water to make war water? Um,
Oh wow.
there's I don't personally do any animal sacrifices, but I am not against people who do. And there's so many living traditions today, like the person you mentioned who does it. And a lot of African religions do it. Ifa, Yoruba, Haitian voodoo. So Palo Mayombe, they all sacrifice things, and it's about reciprocity, Sometimes they sacrifice the thing and eat it after.
Yeah.
Um, Typically, that's what happens. If not, then parts of the animal are used in some way. I don't know. We can't have a factory farming world and get real sticky about sacrificing an animal for spiritual purposes.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, good thought there. I like that. So I got a couple more questions here. What are your thoughts on psychedelics? Have you ever used for any of your spells or rituals, or just out of curiosity? Do you feel like it amplifies anything at all?
Okay, so yes, yes, it does. I
There we
believe it
go.
opens doorways.
Yes, thins
I
the
mean, I
veil a
feel like
little
we
bit.
already kind of knew that. You know what I mean? It's almost obvious when you stare up into the sky and it's just magic happening and swirling around. It's like, okay, something's going on. There's a little extra something.
Hmm. Yeah, so I do think that. I mean, priestesses and priests historically have always used substances to journey to the other side and connect with the other side. And even without substances like fasting, for example, that also puts you in an altered, more like lucid, dreamy state. They would fast for 3 days and then try and connect. So it's just another tool that can be used by a practitioner. But yeah, I do
It's
believe.
my favorite. It's my favorite one. My
Yeah,
favorite
yeah,
tool.
same here.
Which one's your favorite?
Mushrooms,
Yeah.
Portico. Yeah.
I haven't done that. I haven't done mushrooms since high school. Then we accidentally hit a porcupine, so that was the last time.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not a super huge fan of mushrooms at all anymore. They just last too damn long. I'm not trying to be tripping for 7 or 8 hours. That's
Mhm.
who has that kind of time,
Yeah.
That's why we have a another psychedelic that we prefer. It's kind of it's called 4-ACO DMT. It only lasts like 3 hours or something like
I
that.
feel like
It's
it
amazing.
lasts longer though. I
Three,
feel like it
four,
lasts
something.
longer.
Yeah, but whenever we do it, we'll be
we
tripping for a
continue to
little bit,
ride.
and then we'll double the
Yeah.
dosage after a couple
Yeah.
hours. So that's
Yeah,
why it
you're
lasts a
right.
little longer.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, no, I do believe that it opens a doorway. But I think it's also such a touchy conversation, right? With, people and things that they misuse or perhaps don't source properly. So, but I mean, it's the ayahuasca market is booming,
Yeah, it is.
obviously. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Well, I feel like we would be pretty remiss if we did not ask you for, maybe simple spells or rituals that are easy for a beginner of sorts.
Okay, is there a certain outcome that you're interested in?
Um, what do you suggest? You had mentioned the invisibility one.
I have a good one. I have a good one.
Okay.
So this one's a good one. So it's simple, okay? And it was a mentor I had when I was younger. He was from Trinidad. He practiced Orisha. And he told me this spell. So when you're in the heat of a moment, in an argument, or some type of awful thing is happening, stress, whatever, you go to the sink or anywhere, you get a cup of water, and then you take that cup of water and you go outside. It can be day, night, whatever. You have to stand facing your home or the building, and you know, your back to the away. And you hold the cup of water in your hand and you whisper into the water what you want to happen. And then you fling it over your left shoulder. And then you stamp your foot once and you say it's done. And then that argument will be over. The person will call you. The thing stops. It stops it. And I've done this so many times in my life, especially in like chaos moments. Um, it's wild. You could be like, say you're in a fight with your significant other and they've left the house and you just want them to come back. The phone will ring like within 5 minutes. It's an
That's
incredibly fast
awesome.
working spell. So,
That's
and
awesome.
it's I in my on my TikTok page, I've got a playlist somewhere with the spells in there, and that one I've talked about. So,
Love it.
Wow. So simple too.
no, yeah, the simplest ones, honestly, are the most effective, and the most empowering ones are the ones that happen fast. You know,
Mhm.
you can do a money working, you can do something that's long term, that's very ritualistic, but I'm telling you, when you do something like a whisper spell and it happens then, that just reaffirms that you're on the right path and you believe it, and it makes you stronger.
Wow,
Oh
that's
yeah.
so cool.
Heightens that intuition and faith a little bit too, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, and we've asked other people that practice in the craft or the occult, just to see what your feelings on it are. Um, what are your thoughts on, like, where are these spirits and guides and gods and all that stuff? Where are they existing? Is it like in the ether? Like, are they around here like all the time? Do you believe that they're up in the sky or down below, or what are your thoughts on all of that?
I believe they are parallel with us. It's a dual existence. And again, like I mentioned with the Celtic spirituality and beliefs, they believe that the spirits live in the land. You don't go to heaven, you go to the underworld, and the underworld is awesome. You know, Tir na Nog is amazing. And well, no, maybe there's a little bit. No, Tir na Nog's good. There's different versions of it, but
There's
yeah,
nuance. There's
yeah,
nuance.
there's nuance. Just like I think I said something about Valhalla being good, and someone said, no, no, it's there's too much fighting there. There was a different place the heathens go. I'm not super versed in Norse paganism, but no, I feel like it's with us. It's level with us. You know, like I can feel my spirit guides. If my great grandmother, she's here. She's not up. There's never been an up for me. It never felt that way. They're here.
It seems like that. And especially more we dive into, like quantum physics and understanding the light spectrum and what our capabilities are at seeing and feeling and all this stuff. We are so extremely limited on, just the tools that we have to be able to pick up what may be around us, and that's why I think that there are thousands and thousands of different religions and spiritualities, because we're kind of all just, I don't want to say guessing, that's not right, but a lot of it's kind of has to be taken on faith. And just like you even said earlier, it's almost like you feel silly at first because you don't see anything, and maybe you don't even feel anything at first, and so you kind of just have to take it on faith. And some people just have a hard time with that.
Yeah. Being truthful and being authentic with yourself is really difficult, and it feels silly at first because you don't know what your own truth is half the time in the beginning. But like I tell new witches, if you want to be a Christian, then you have to be part of that flock. And we are not sheep, we are a forest. We are diverse, we are wild, we are, filled with all kinds of things. You can go be a sheep. It's really hard to be a forest, but it's so much more fun.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it's so much more fulfilling to be the forest.
Oh,
I
and
love that
finding your own way is, man, it's a journey. It's no longer you being told what to do, but the fun part about that is that, well, and sometimes the scary part about it is that the convenience of somebody telling you what is true and what isn't is gone. It's
Yeah.
you're the illuminating source that has to shine the light on the path at that point. And to be honest, that's my favorite part. Like, I love just being able to feel around and find out what's real and what's not, at least from my perspective.
That's what Jesus did. And then he came and he told everybody about it. And they were like, yeah, cool. Let's go do what Jesus is doing. And that's how Christianity came about. So if we just all just try to be our own Jesus, we don't have to have a flock. and then we're all good. You know, like Jesus said, like, I'm the light, I'm the way. Like, yeah, he's the light. You're the light too.
Right.
It's a crazy concept.
Yeah, don't be saying that around the Christians, though. You know, they get a little antsy.
Oh, I do though. That's probably why the kids aren't allowed to hang out with my kids, but whatever.
Oh, I know. This is something I bring this up almost every time somebody's like, "Oh, God is all good and He's all light," and I'm like, Isaiah chapter 45 verse 7. I make peace and I create evil. What?
Yeah.
He's all good, you know. I'm like,
Yeah.
says it right there though. I just love it though.
Which is actually, it's interesting, you know, if you think about it that way, because I think we are the same. We are capable of being good, and we are also capable of causing destruction.
Yeah.
And so, if you ask me, you know, sure, you know, people have great success in asking for help from some higher source, you know, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't even think we need to. I think that we are capable just by ourselves when
Mhm.
it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody has the ability for good and bad. And so when people try to say, oh, the Satanists, well, I mean, if you understood the Satanists, you wouldn't be saying that. And honestly, the more devils are in your churches and pews. So,
Big facts. You know, we actually have coming up, and we're going to be doing a show on it because I just love looking at all the pagan stuff, to be honest with you. I think it's so much fun. But, and you had talked about Wicca a little bit, and I don't know how to say it even. Is it Mabon or Maboon?
Mabon.
Mabon. Okay. That's coming up, which is, I think it's like September 22nd this year or 23rd, something like that. And
yeah, whatever the equinox is, it shifts every year.
do you do anything special on those kind of holidays?
Well, Mabon is a Welsh, it's a Welsh holiday on the wheel of the year. I am kind of a lazy witch sometimes. I do not celebrate all of the festivals. The main one that I really recognize and honor is Samhain, and that is a big deal for me. And then, you know, that's pretty much that's my new year for me is Samhain, and I focus on that. The rest, if I remember and I'm in a good place and my kids aren't being, you know, jerks, and then I can focus, yes, I would. You know, like whenever Beelzebub comes up, I'm like, okay, let's light some candles, you know, let's do this. But no, Mabon, I don't typically, I mean, it is an equinox, so it deserves a candle, but it's more on the Welsh path.
I like it. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to learn all about that kind of stuff and get fully entrenched into all of it. And that's what we love about it. Like, you know, we did a show probably about a month ago on eclectic witchcraft. And that was just something that just highly resonated with us because you can kind of include whatever, really. I mean, and that's what's amazing about it is that you can take a little bit from the Druids and a little bit from, you know, even the Christians or, you know, witches or whatever. And it's just so cool to look at it that way. It's like, you know, we live in the day and age to where we have access to all the information that's out there. So you may as well kind of use it to your advantage at that point, right?
Yeah. And even when a witch says they're not eclectic, I mean, we all are. We all are in some little itty bitty way, you know, whether it be you have mala beads because you like the crystal, or you're using, you know, the Norse runes for protection. You know, there's always something we're borrowing from someone else, but that's the way humans have always been. So,
I see. Yeah, that's about right. All right. Well, I think we're coming up on the end here now, and we do really appreciate you coming to hang out with us. It was really great getting to know you, and thank you so much for enlightening us, you know, on all the questions that we have. It was really nice talking with you.
yeah, thank you for having me.
But before we let you go, we usually do a tarot reading towards the end of every show, and I feel like it would be an honor if you were to do the tarot reading for us. Usually, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, any specific number. It could be 1, 2, 3 cards, whatever you're feeling, but it would be awesome if you could do that.
Okay, let me see here. Let's do, so I've been teaching on my channel traditional card reading.
Yeah,
with playing
cardomancy.
So let's do that. Okay.
Let's do it.
Do we want to ask a specific question?
Sean?
I mean, I say we just do one just for us, just for the collective. You know what I mean? Just kind of a general reading, if you will.
Okay, you
Yeah.
let me know when to stop shuffling.
All right. Now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I hate no. Sometimes when you're shuffling and I'm like this, and they say now, like I get like a pain in my chest because I want it finished, but no. Okay. Okay, we got 6 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 6 of hearts, 7 of hearts, and ace of hearts. So that is just all that is good news. That is good energy. The ace of hearts, that is like people are loving your show. You're having really good conversations. It's, sevens can bring news and you're giving good news. So the sixes are like the 6 of hearts is like, again, a celebration of love. So we got 3 hearts here, and I shuffled these real good. And I took out cards before. So yeah, six of
That's
Wow.
awesome.
all the hearts. So
Hearts all around.
that tells me that the group here and the community here is loving your show, and you guys are doing amazing at it. So
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you for doing that. And we did an episode on because I believe that's called cartomancy, right?
cartomancy, yeah.
We did that. That was like last year or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was a
And
minute.
that was like one of our favorite shows that we did because we were like, oh my God, you can do it just with regular cards. Who would have
And of
thought?
course you can, right?
I always say if I ever, not that I would, but if I ever end up in prison, I'm gonna have so much ramen because I can read the playing card. Like I've got a job in there. I got a thing I can do to get,
Right.
comes. Not that I ever would. I've never been to prison, so I don't plan.
I've had that same thought though too. I'm like, oh, I can do tattoos.
What
I'm
am I gonna
set.
do in prison?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I
playing
can't do any.
cards.
I can't do any of that. I guess I'm just somebody's bitch in there. Then.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just all that
You got to
on me.
hold someone's pocket, I think.
Yeah, like old teabag and Prison Break.
Yeah.
Well, look, it was great talking to you. We cannot wait. Hopefully, you'd be interested in doing it again. We love this kind of conversation. But
Yeah.
if you would, could you let all of the one? That's what we call our listeners. The one. Could you let them know where they could find you?
You can find me on TikTok. Well, you can find me all across every social at Nevermore Aries. Nevermore.Aries. That's where I am everywhere. So yeah.
All right. Well, we'll
Awesome.
have that down in the show notes below. And so, yeah, typically what we like to do is we like to do a meditation afterward. You don't have to feel obligated to stick around for that. So I know that you got that ADHD brain anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I got the kids up for school in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, we really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and definitely can't wait to do it again.
Thank you
Yes.
for having me.
Thank you so much. And
Bye,
I think
everybody.
this goes to show real quick, the power of manifestation. You know what I mean? We've been talking about this kind of stuff, getting into the weird, the witchcraft and all of this and focusing our time and attention on that. And here we go. We have Nevermore talking to us, a witch. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Magic is real, people.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're interested in more witches, I have plenty of good names for you, all different kinds and
Send them
beliefs.
all. Send them all. But yeah. All right, Tammy. Well, it was awesome hanging out with you. We'll
Okay.
see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. She was great.
Yeah, she was great.
That was awesome. And then the cartomancy right there at the end, dude. Who would have thought?
Dude. Yeah, I had a card pulled up too, just in case, but I'm glad you did that. That was cool.
I mean, you want to pull that bad boy out too? Let's get double
I
weird.
mean, let's do it. Let's do it, man. We got the moon, which is
Get
kind
out of here.
suiting.
What?
It
Of
was so
course
funny,
it's the
dude.
moon.
When she was talking about the whole mirror thing, she's like, "Don't do it, don't do it." I was thinking, yeah, maybe not everybody should do it. Dude.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing.
That makes me want to do it even more now.
I kind of want to though,
Yeah.
but I feel like it took me like 2 weeks to kind of get right. You know what I mean?
It'll mess with
That's
you
weird.
a little bit.
A little bit.
So the moon is the 18th card on the Fool's Journey. It says the moon illuminates what has been hidden, bringing it into light and asking you to listen to your intuitive messages. The moon card is an invitation to confront your shadow self or the dark elements of your essential being that are often suppressed. Your shadow self is not to be feared, but rather embraced and integrated. Doing this allows you to heal what you deem unlovable or unacceptable in yourself. On this card, we see a coyote and a dog howling at a full moon, symbolizing our discomfort with duality and the unknown. The coyote is the wild wild self, while the dog represents our domesticated self. A crawfish in the river symbolizes the quest for the meaning of life, looking deeper, and feelings of dissatisfaction with living a surface existence. The moon is positioned between the two towers, first shown on the death card, representing the conscious and the unconscious. Under the light of the moon, all is revealed. This includes the messages received in dreams and through intuition. What is revealed may show you where you have been deceived, most likely by your own perceptions. It is time to see the truth and situations clearly.
So awesome, dude. We were just talking about this earlier today, dude. Like how powerful that is, the subconscious that's constantly running, and then it'll all of a sudden just kind of highlight something and you're like, oh, right before recording too, I was listening to Shadowboxing by Optimistic Banks.
Clutch. Yeah, I love that song.
Great.
Dude, he has a bunch of banger songs. Anybody, honestly, and this is not even just because we're trying to promote him. He legit has good music, Optimistic Banks. And so you can go on Spotify or whatever. I mean, it's free if you got Spotify to listen to. But, dude, that 333 song gets me every time. Meditation, shadow boxing. Like, he has a lot. I'm like, how is this dude not super famous? Because his music is actually really fucking good.
Dude, you know why. You know why, but let's not go there. Let's
So-
not get conspiratorial or nothing.
Yeah. So the spiritual message behind the moon card is now is your time to examine self-deception, fear, and shame by working with your shadow self. Exploring psychic development and dream work can help you reconnect to aspects of your inner self that have been hidden. You're evolving and expanding your consciousness on your spiritual path.
Dude. Hidden,
That's-
but not like powerless. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hidden, but it's still dictating a little bit of you, whether you know it or not, And so when you highlight that and you go, oh, okay, that's there, but it's not real. You know what I mean? Or it doesn't need to affect me anymore. And then just add that to your daily grind, dude. And just, I don't know, man, that right there, I think is one of the most powerful things. And I'm really trying to get entrenched into that. You know what I mean?
Bro, all right. So this is something I'm happy you said that because it just reminded me of something. Because we have 60,000 thoughts in a day, and sometimes we can't control our thoughts, but we don't necessarily have to agree with them. And I feel like whenever we tend to agree with our thoughts in an emotional kind of way, that only heightens the possibility of them happening, even the bad ones that you don't want to happen, right?
Yep.
And this is something, dude, I've done this for so long, and I just recently realized that I was, consciously doing it. And and this is, dude, I'm laying the sauce out because I'm telling
There it
you,
is.
this shit works every single time. Knock on wood. But every time, so if I have a thought that I don't want or I don't agree with or something that I don't want to manifest in my life, and I feel like we all have them, right?
Yep.
Not every one of the 60,000 thoughts are going to be awesome. But whenever I do, you know what I say? I think about that thought, I hold it in my mind, and I just say out loud, no.
Oh,
And
Shut it
not like
down, dude.
not like a no, please don't happen, but
Right.
a no as if it is coming from the mouth of
from
God.
authority.
Yes, in that
Yes.
sense. Dude, I'm telling you, it works every time. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that every single one of my thoughts is going to manifest into reality. So maybe none of them, or maybe some of them wouldn't have come, manifested in my reality anyway. But I like to think that I'm bettering the odds whenever I'm doing that,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And think about this, how many times have you, I mean, I can't speak for you, but how many times have you had a negative thought, and agreed with it, even though you knew it was bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Just like for whatever reason, you're like, you kind of feed into that for a little while, and then it just kind of wrecks you for a little bit until you finally get your head out of your ass and you're like, oh, okay, that's not me. What was I thinking?
Dude,
It's
and the crazy part about that is it's almost like, whenever we were younger and we would watch The Matrix after a while, and you see Neo getting all the downloads and I know Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
And at the time it seemed silly because, come on, that's not real, right? Like you're not just going to receive a download and all of a sudden become a Kung Fu master or something like that. But I'm starting to slowly think that we can almost tap into that
Starting
just
to
by,
get it, right?
dude, just by believing it. First of all, I think is the most important thing. You have to believe that you can, because if this is a game, a matrix, something that isn't real in the sense of what we deem real, then man, I think that a lot of it just is almost embodying what you want to be and what you want to become. You know what I'm
stop
saying?
holding yourself back, which is ultimately the ego or the shadow self, kind of trying to keep you where you are rather than expanding.
And that's why
You
that
know?
shadow work is so, integral. Like you should be implementing that every single day. And that's why meditation is so important, because you're going into the deep waters of your own recesses of your own subconscious whenever you're meditating, right? And
Yep.
and it doesn't have to be for an hour at a time. You can, like that last meditation we just did on 432 hertz. I could have stayed there for hours
Yeah, dude.
on some real shit.
That was great.
White Boy Wizard. That's Optimistic Banks. We've had him on the show a couple of times.
Yes. Awesome, dude. Love that guy.
It's Opti and then Mystic, as in like a sage.
Mystical.
Mystic, right? So good. Definitely go check it out. He's awesome. But anyway, yeah, I think she was great, dude. Can't wait to do that show again with her because very insightful, and I just love bookworms like that. Like people who have just soaked it all up like a sponge. I just, and that's all we want to be in front of those kind of people and just be sponges.
Ultimately, just trying to get the closest with that we can to the truth, man. That's all, man. That's it.
That's it. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up right there. We're going to get over to the meditation. I don't know what kind of meditation we're doing yet, but it'll come to us.
It'll be a surprise.
It will be a surprise. But anyhow, yeah, look, something else I wanted to say too. This is a live show. If you want to be a part of this live show, then go over to patreon.com/metamysteries. That link is down in the show notes below. It's the best way to be able to support us. You can sign up for a tier that gives you access to be able to slide into our DMs and watch all the videos. You'll be able to listen and watch every single episode completely commercial free. You'll be able to comment and all that fun stuff. It's more of a community or a coven, if you will. And we appreciate all of the ones that have gone and done that. And that tier is actually only $3.33 a month. And we do 2 episodes every single week. So that's, 8-9 episodes a month or something like that. And so, yeah, we would appreciate it. We make it so damn cheap, dude. It's like a gallon of gas,
That's it.
And so everybody is, we're very thankful for everybody that's done that. But if you want to be able to join us for the live show, it's the Wonder Wednesday tier. That is $8.88 a month, and you'll be able to get down and hang out with us every Wednesday night for the rest of your life, because I don't plan on quitting this anytime soon.
We're not quitting.
No.
We're not quitters over here.
Till death do we part from this show.
That's right.
So, yeah, definitely come check out the live shows for anybody that's listening to this the following day or whenever you may be listening to it. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/metamysteries if you want to go watch it over there. If you're somebody that listens to it on Spotify or you listen to it on the Cult of Conspiracy podcast or the Meta Mysteries podcast, and, hey, whatever you prefer. We're trying to, put it out everywhere and try and get the one to be a bigger one.
That's it.
That's all we're trying to do. And if you would also, if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple, if you could leave us some 5 stars and some reviews, that really helps pump up the algorithm. I actually just recently went and checked the reviews. Holy shit, we're getting a lot of really good reviews.
Really?
Like almost majority 5 stars.
That's great.
It's
That's
awesome.
great. Except for that one -1 star that you got somehow. I don't even know how you do a minus. I didn't even know they had that feature, but it's interesting.
Haters gonna hate.
I don't think you deserve it, is what I'm saying.
Well, to that person I do. That's okay. That's okay. A little baneful magic's coming your way, buddy.
Oh, shit.
Target practice, as Lord Byron likes to say.
Target practice.
Not in a literal sense, just in a magic sense. So anyhow, all right, we're going to bust up out of here, go over to the meditation. But look, if Nevermore Aries came here and she taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
What do you guys think?
Dude, that was really fun, actually.
Yeah, I think when she was talking about like the offering and this and that, and I'm like, oh shit, I already don't have an offering, and so I was like, well, I don't know if that ruined it for me or not, but to be honest, I don't know how I feel about the whole offering thing.
Well, you just got in your own way right there then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I feel relaxed, but I didn't go on the ride. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, I mean, my offering was my curiosity. That's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, well, look, I don't want to give an offering. I don't even know you yet. So my curiosity or my energy or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I'm coming to spend a little bit of time with you. And
Mm-hmm.
if I decide that I like you, then maybe I'll work with you kind of deal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that was really interesting though. Especially, dude, the mind is a wonderful place whenever you can have it guided to in a certain direction, um, because dude, it was just like, so I was able to picture the cave and then the green grass and the fungus or whatever that's all over it and everything. It just seemed very Irish almost,
Right.
and really good meditation. Even going in there, and she's like, well, yeah, you can see a light, and so you decide to go take a little peek, and then you see that it's a fire, and you see that it's actually a woman that's standing back there with red hair, and I was like, oh, I got a thing for redheads already, so I'm already liking where this is going.
Right.
And she was like, and then it was just a conversation. Then you just follow her, and and to be able to see from that perspective as a crow flying or
Mhm.
as a wolf running through the woods or as an eel that is like swimming through the ocean. I'm like, man, it feels so real when you're doing it though. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you allow yourself, dude, it is what a journey that is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we talk about it all the time, man. The mind being that powerful, really creating that place, and it feels like you're really there, man. But Nick, I'm interested to see what happened. Did you experience anything?
Did you go?
No, I did not.
Nicholas.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not fully do the whole thing.
That
I
was
had
a
to
fun
run to
one.
the kitchen and handle some business.
Heard that. That's okay.
It's all good. It's all good. I did want to ask you a question though, Nick. I've been seeing this stuff about like a mothership and all that. I'm sure you guys have heard of all of this talk, about something coming towards Earth. Like what do you know about that? I'm just glad that you're here because I wanted to ask you about that.
Probably nothing, to be honest. Not that I don't know anything about it. I don't think that there probably
It's anything.
is anything like the mothership that they're talking about or will or could talk about on the news is not the one that said is going to be anything that is probably legitimate, especially if there's any kind of threat narrative, any kind of anything like that.
Yeah.
The real truth is they're already fucking here, dude. They're not coming from anywhere. They've been here, dog.
I love it. I love
They've
it.
been here. So
That's interesting how they try to do that though. You know what I mean? They try to say, "Oh, well, this scientist said that he thinks it's a mothership because of this and that." And I'm like,
yeah.
why do they even go that route? If you know what I mean, if they know it's not.
So I think Cab asked about that thing that's coming right now, and apparently they said it's just it's a comet, like it's some kind of comet or whatever. But that last one, the Oumuamua, the one that they found a few years back in like over in Hawaii, according to the Pleiadians, that one was actually a craft, and this is where like a lot of the confusion comes with like the whole Lyran thing, that they're cat people and this and that. Well, turns out Oumuamua was from the Lyra area, but they're not cat people.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So like it was their craft. They like apparently the way that they do it, they're a little more. They have like a big giant craft with like thousands of people on board, and that's the way they like to travel as a society. And it's just a big ass long fucking school bus of a cruise ship, basically. And that's how they do it. And they're like, kind of more primitive, I guess, in comparison to a lot of the other races like Pleiadians and Arcturians and stuff. Like the Lyrans, they're kind of like I think they're kind of like gray type, they're just kind of spindly small things, but they're like more primitive, less advanced, and more 3D oriented, if that makes sense. Which is why we can, literally they're sticking out like a sore thumb, and we're seeing their shit with our shitty telescopes.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting though how it even came upon the folklore and the understanding that the Lyrans were cat people, because that's what I always thought for the longest time. And then you find out, no, that like the cat people are something else, like something else entirely.
And that notion comes from, and the only reason that I know that or even believe that is because of Cab and Judith and them. But like, there's been so much stuff that they've been so right, and that corroborates like or the rest of it. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But there is a huge amount of like ufology and UFO like lore and stuff that's kind of arisen over the past maybe 20, 30 years of people that have written certain books, and those kind of books gave a lot of framework to people in like the spiritual communities to like kind of like how there's so much Inky Enlil stuff that all kind of, not that any of all that stuff is wrong, but it's like everyone looks through the lens of like Zachariah Sitchin because he was the one to bring it into the zeitgeist, and it's like all
the awareness
based off of that. Whenever there can be some truth to certain things, but like whoever kind of popularized it and what they kind of said about it, true or not, kind of, like makes people go with that thing. And you can kind of like how, certain religions or whatever, if you're Christian, and you're probably going to see Jesus in your dreams or whatever, because you're had that inclination, and that kind of thing I think has happened in certain regards when it comes to some of that information.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, I mean, Pete said, hella nice meditation. The offering to me is more of a thank you for the good time. That's kind of what it was somewhere along those lines. I was like, I'm not trying to give an offering. Not that I wouldn't, but I don't know who the Morgan is. I don't even know, what I would offer. Although she suggested, what was it, like milk or red wine or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, I had white meat earlier. I had some pork chops earlier, so that was delicious. But yeah, that was really interesting. It really makes me want to look into the Morgan even a little bit more. I might have to see if there's a book or something. I'm sure there has to be a book on the Morgan, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Some captain.
What is that?
Captain Morgan.
Oh, yeah. You would think that she would get down with a little captain, a little. Yeah. Do the pose, dude.
Captain in you.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up right there. That was a fun freaking episode. Tammy is the shit. Can't wait to do it with her again.
I love the whispering into the hand thing. That was really cool. Like you can imagine what you could do with that. You know what I mean?
Dude, and it makes sense because they say that, your like spirit literally translates to breath, I think. And if it's just your breath and you're speaking it into existence within your words, and you're just like, going like that, I could see that working. And obviously I think that a lot of that is just really like, do you believe it works? Because if you believe it works, then it probably is more likely to work, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
He does that whenever he like calls in those butterflies or the eagles. Maybe he's like whispering, and then he whispers to the butterfly in his hand, and then he sends it off, and then the eagles come and save him.
Who does that?
Gandalf in The Hobbit.
That's right. I still have not seen all of those Lord of the Rings movies. I seen The Hobbit. I saw the first Lord of the Rings, but that's it.
Yeah, honestly, if you're gonna do it, which you should, just start. You can do it chronologically, and it's awesome. If you just do all the Hobbit movies first, and then extended cut back to back all 3 Lord of the Rings right after that, it's like 11 hours, and it is a journey.
Hey, 11 hours, that ain't bad.
Ain't nothing.
So
ain't none.
I mean, what is that on? Is that on HBO or what?
I think they got that on HBO. Yeah.
Sweet. HBO got fucking everything, dude. All right, well, yeah, I guess we'll bus up out of here, and let's see what's next. We have so much stuff lined up. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, let me know so I can try to plan around. Sometimes I'll be missing the good shit.
Oh yeah. I think we got the one guy that does like the CE5 stuff, right?
Yes. The next Wonder Wednesday show is going to be with a gentleman that gets a group together and goes out in the desert and does the CE5 and calls specifically on certain types of aliens. So they'll go out in the middle of the desert and they'll be like, all right, today we're calling on the grays, or today we're calling on whatever, right? And they all have like a specific intention and gets results every time. So if you want to go check him out.
There you go, Nick. There you go, Nick. That's the one.
Yeah, it's a week from today. If you want to go check him out, he's on TikTok. His name is Orb Trek. He's a Englishman, I think.
I imagine we would be doing something like that at some point. You know what I mean? Just get real weird with it.
I'm about to be out in the desert with
you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to that.
Weird, dude. But anyway, all right, yeah, we're for real. We're gonna wrap it up this time. So, we love you, the one. Thank you so much for hanging out with y'all, or with us, and we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Yes.
Voices drift on winds untamed. Words like spells that